This is something that actually is been very interesting for me for quite a long time. I have been collecting a lot of scientific data into a database, and it's just a flood of information that is now coming in from all over the world, and it's really, really encouraging. You may remember there was a time when so-called strength machine sales were very low and everybody was buying cardio equipment. So cardio was the big thing, and strength was not so important. But this has really changed now. And in fact, what the science says, if we look at these two, they are both important, but that resistance training is actually even more important. So let's look at why it is so important. One of the things that we are now treating is basically mostly lifestyle-induced musculoskeletal problems. This is like 90% of the cases, non-specific, caused by disuse and whatever. But there are so many other diseases that can be directly linked to lifestyle. And if we look at the numbers, I mean, cancer, there's a lot of evidence that our lifestyle causes many cancers. 20% of the population, 1/5 will suffer at some time of their life with that. Then we look at musculoskeletal issues that we are treating with. This is a huge area as well. The difference, however, is that very seldom musculoskeletal are deadly. So these other things are deadly, and this is why also from the medical side, they have much more money invested in it than musculoskeletal itself. We have type 2 diabetes. This is huge and growing, and if you can see this Western Asia, which is all this from India down to Middle East, this is a very, very big problem. And again, resistance training is the most effective way to tackle this one. We have also, for these cardiovascular problems, the biggest killer in the world, also very much dependent on your lifestyle. And we have mental health issues, a growing issue in the Western world, also has a link here. And then osteoporosis is also when population ages, also these issues become very critical. So we got a huge, massive amount of problems around the world caused by our lifestyle, but we know and people know how to deal with these things. But what they don't know actually is how critical resistance training is. So if we look at what should and could be done, all of this is like you can read it every day from papers, why all of these things are important for your healthy life. But if we dig deeper, a little bit deeper, we can see that like I said, both type of exercises are important, but resistance training is essential. And if we look at the areas where it actually affects the whole body structure, only the cardiorespiratory system benefiting more from cardio training. But if you look at the how it affects our health situation against mortality, against frailty, against cancer, diabetes, and partly CVD. There was just an announcement from the American Heart Association, a recommendation that all CVD patients should take up resistance training. It's a very new information, and this is also something that really pushes the whole concept of training with resistance. So if we look at why it is so effective, the reason why this is so effective is simply because the training of the muscles excretes exerkines or myokines and cytokines, hormones and lipids and neurotransmitters and other molecules that are essential for building up and repairing the body. So of course, when we train the muscles, we cause damage into the muscle, and you need the system that rebuilds it. But at the same time, it builds your eyes, it builds your veins, it builds all parts of your body. So therefore, all of these different molecules or exerkines, as the newest word says, are critical for all these growth improvements and other things. I looked at this line of all these cryptic names, and I wanted to understand what are they. And so I made a pretty extensive search, and I created a table for myself to understand exactly what's going on. And if you look at those molecules and what their main function is, this is just the main function. They have so many other functions. And this is just 30. There are hundreds, in fact, that are being produced during this training session. So this sort of changes the whole idea about training. We are actually talking about creating medicine that starts to heal our body by training. What can be more natural than this? So this is why recommendations are coming in from left and right that people should start training. But there's another element here, and this is the intensity of training. I can tell you that I have changed my training style after studying all this stuff, and I realize how critical that is. But if we look at some of the benefits, there is evidence that it works really well with depression. When you look at the three different pharmacological therapy and exercise, they are equally effective. Even sometimes exercise can be more effective. We talk about building brain power. Something called this decision-making functionality and ability to make decisions is improved by resistance training. Also, white matter is being produced. And this is very, very interesting. Not only does exercise prevent cancers, but it also helps to get better cured. I mean, the ability to take these toxins and deal with them and recover and stay alive are greatly improved by resistance training. There are many studies that say that intensity is a critical thing here. These are some of the studies talking about heat training, both resistance and cardio. So there's a really direct link. And when we talk about intensity, there are a couple of things that need to be included if we actually want to create intensity. When we talk about high intensity, you have to have less need for coordination to make it safe. And so if you make a squat, it's a very effective movement, but very dangerous. So you have to keep the load very low in order to do proper movements. But if you don't have to worry about that, you can use much higher intensities safely. So this is a very important thing, is that with our systems, you can do this. The other thing, which is a low overlook perhaps, is the fact that you have your range of motion that you work with, and you have your load that you use during the range of motion. So if we can imagine a situation where something is wrong, like here, it means that a big potential of the workout is lost because you are not using your potential to the full. And of course, we have the other issues concerning the safety of training. So anyway, having the right loading curve, having the safety of training, having the fixation to allow you to do high intensity training safely is a critical thing. And in fact, it is so critical that we are thinking about creating new tools and new analysis methods in order to analyze this intensity level so that we are pushing people towards training at required intensities. I gave a speech like this to our center here, like 60 people, mostly then elderly people that were there. And I talked about it, and it was quite interesting to see that everybody wanted their programs changed. They wanted to have higher intensity, and I was really happy about that. That's the only way to really make any permanent or meaningful changes.